Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Star Trek: The Next Generation was the first Star Trek show that ran for 7 seasons, opening the door for more Star Trek series to have long runs of 5 seasons or more for fans to enjoy, and now binge watch thanks to streaming and physical media. Some Star Trek shows end much too soon, including Star Trek, the original series, the one that started it all. Star Trek was far from a monster hit on NBC. Star Trek was saved by a fan letter writing campaign and eked out a 3rd season before becoming a bigger hit in syndication. Star Trek Enterprise was also felled by low ratings and franchise fatigue during its network TV run on UPN from 2001 to 2005. Becoming the only Star Trek series overseen by executive producer Rick Berman to only last 4 seasons instead of 7. Today's streaming era is defined by much shorter seasons and random cancellations, even of hit series. Star Trek on Paramount Plus was subjected to the turbulent streaming business, with Star Trek Prodigy being the most mistreated Star Trek series for its 2 seasons. Star Trek Picard only ran for 3 seasons on Paramount Plus by design, but its hoped-for spin-off, Star Trek Legacy, hasn't materialized. Along with those shorter-run Star Trek series, there are a half-dozen shows that provide hundreds of hours of Star Trek goodness for 5 seasons or more. Star Trek: The Next Generation overcame a turbulent beginning to become one of the greatest Star Trek series for many fans, the greatest and an influential landmark of science fiction television. Star Trek: The Next Generation aired for 7 seasons in syndication, essentially creating the market for first-run syndicated television series and becoming a pop culture and ratings juggernaut. TNG was by no means assured 7 seasons when it started, but the series' writing rapidly improved, delivering classic episode after classic episode. Star Trek: The Next Generation's cast, led by Patrick Stewart as Captain Jean-Luc Picard, became icons. Star Trek: The Next Generation's 7 seasons consist of 178 episodes, including all-time classics like The Measure of a Man, The Best of Both Worlds, The Inner Light, and one of the greatest TV series finales ever, All Good Things. Star Trek Deep Space Nine was the first spin-off of Star Trek: The Next Generation that upended Star Trek's core formula and pushed it forward, starting with Avery Brooks as Commander Benjamin Sisko, who would become the first black captain to lead a Star Trek series. DS9 introduced more depth and complexity to Star Trek, as well as innovating serialization decades before that format became the norm in the streaming era. In later seasons, Deep Space Nine featured an expansive cast of ancillary characters who could carry their own episodes. Stuck between the pop culture juggernaut of Star Trek, The Next Generation and Paramount's focus on Star Trek Voyager, red-headed stepchild DS9 chose to trailblaze, developing intricate plotlines and character depth greater than Star Trek had ever seen before. Star Trek Deep Space Nine's 7 seasons consist of 176 episodes, including the all-time classics, The Visitor, Far Beyond the Stars, and In the Pale Moonlight. In the streaming era, Star Trek Deep Space Nine emerges as the most relevant of the 1990s Star Trek series. Star Trek Voyager was the flagship of the newly launched United Paramount Network UPN in 1995, and it has become one of the most influential and seminal Star Trek series. Led by the indomitable Kate Mulgrew as Captain Janeway, Star Trek Voyager boasted the first female captain to headline a Star Trek series. Along with its Lost in Space concept, Star Trek Voyager Season 4 introduced one of the greatest Star Trek characters of all, 7 of 9 Jerry Ryan. Star Trek Voyager's legacy is seen in the multitude of new fans the series brought to Star Trek, including countless girls and women who pursued careers in STEM because they were influenced by Captain Janeway. Star Trek Voyager's 7 seasons consist of 172 episodes, including fan-favorite stories like Scorpion, Year of Hell, The Controversial Tuvix, and Star Trek Voyager's series finale, Endgame. Star Trek Discovery brought Star Trek to television after 12 years, and was the flashpoint igniting a new era of Star Trek streaming shows on Paramount+. Discovery also set the bar for 5 seasons as the max for Star Trek on Paramount+ in the streaming era. Controversial from its inception, Star Trek Discovery was nonetheless a hit and a success, headlined by the remarkable Sonequa Martin Green as Captain Michael Burnham, the singular focus of Star Trek Discovery, who became the first black female captain to lead a live-action Star Trek series. Star Trek Discovery began as a 23rd century set prequel before jumping 930 years into the future, opening up the 32nd century as the farthest point of Star Trek's timeline, which will be further explored by Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Star Trek Discovery's dramatic, emotional, and action-packed 5 seasons consist of 65 episodes, including memorable hours like Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad, several Mirror Universe episodes, and Star Trek Discovery's extended series finale, Life Itself. Star Trek Lower Decks, the first half-hour animated Star Trek comedy, was a stroke of genius by creator Mike M.C. Mann, who proved Star Trek could be blisteringly funny and reverential to the virtues of the franchise simultaneously. Set aboard one of Starfleet's least important ships, the USS Cerritos, Star Trek Lower Decks endearingly focused on the chaotic day-to-day minutiae of the lowest-ranked officers in Starfleet. Star Trek Lower Decks' voice cast, led by Tawny Newsome as Ensign Beckett Mariner and Jack Quaid as Ensign Brad Boimler, delivered emotion, friendships, and heroism to rival any of their live-action Star Trek counterparts. By the end of Star Trek Lower Decks, the series boldly began exploring the multiverse. Star Trek Lower Decks' 5 seasons consist of 50 episodes. Standouts include Crisis Point, Way Dodge, Old Friends, New Planets, Fully Delated, Fisher Quest, and Star Trek Lower Decks' Season 5 finale, The New Next Generation. Star Trek Strange New Worlds is not only a series fans demanded after Captain Christopher Pike Anson Mount, Number 1 Rebecca Ramine, and Lieutenant Spock Ethan Peck debuted in Star Trek Discovery, but it's a sequel to Star Trek's original pilot, The Cage. Over 50 years later, Star Trek Strange New Worlds restored the episodic format and exploratory spirit of Star Trek, the original series, in a modern style. As the show has progressed, Strange New Worlds delves into various TV genres, including Star Trek's first ever musical, showcasing the vast talents of the series' expansive cast. Star Trek Strange New Worlds has only completed 3 seasons thus far, but the series was renewed for seasons 4 and 5, which will be the final season to complete the prequel's 5-year mission and sync up to the start of Star Trek, the original series. Star Trek Strange New Worlds' first 4 seasons consist of 10 episodes, while the 5th and final season will be 6, totaling 46 episodes. Although a far cry from Star Trek The Next Generation's 178 episodes, Star Trek Strange New Worlds' landmark hours include Ad Astra Prospera, Those Old Scientists, and Subspace Rhapsody. For nearly 6 decades, Star Trek has been one of the most enduring and influential science fiction franchises in television history. While the original series laid the groundwork for a universe filled with exploration, diplomacy, and morality plays, some of the greatest Star Trek adventures unfolded in shows that lasted beyond 5 seasons. These long-running series not only had time to develop deep character arcs, but also tackled complex themes about humanity, technology, war, and hope. If the original series built the foundation, The Next Generation TNG polished the blueprint into near perfection. Set about a century after Captain Kirk, this series follows Captain Jean-Luc Picard and his crew aboard the USS Enterprise D. What makes TNG a must-watch? Its growth. The early seasons leaned heavily on episodic storytelling, but as the show matured, it delivered thoughtful allegories about morality, identity, and diplomacy. Classic episodes like The Measure of a Man, which questions whether android Data has the same rights as humans, remain relevant today. The Borg, one of Star Trek's greatest villains, also made their terrifying debut here. By Season 3's cliffhanger, The Best of Both Worlds, fans were left breathless, cementing TNG as a true cultural phenomenon. With 7 seasons, the show has both depth and breadth, offering a complete, satisfying arc that still inspires spin-offs like Star Trek, Picard. Why watch? TNG is the gold standard of Trek storytelling, intelligent, character-driven, and endlessly rewatchable. When Deep Space Nine DS9 first aired, it broke the mold. Instead of following a ship, the show took place on a stationary space station orbiting Bajor, a planet recovering from decades of brutal occupation. What started as a slower-paced political drama evolved into one of the most serialized, morally complex entries in the franchise. Commander Benjamin Sisko, later captain, leads the station through diplomatic tensions, spiritual mysteries, and eventually a galaxy-spanning war with the Dominion. DS9 is darker than TNG, but that's part of its brilliance. It was unafraid to explore moral compromises, religious conflict, and the costs of war. One of its strengths is its ensemble cast. Characters like Odo, Kira Nerys, and Quark get layered development, and even recurring roles like Garak the Cardassian tailor/spy become unforgettable. By the later seasons, DS9 was essentially a space opera about survival and sacrifice, culminating in one of Star Trek's most ambitious finales. Why watch? DS9 is Star Trek at its boldest. Serialized storytelling, gray morality, and complex politics make it a binge-worthy epic. If DS9 explored the political center of the galaxy, Voyager took us far, far away. Stranded in the Delta Quadrant, 70,000 light-years from home, Captain Catherine Janeway and her crew face a decades-long journey back to Earth. Voyager offered the best of both worlds. Episodic adventures exploring strange new worlds, while also maintaining the overarching quest of survival and the hope of returning home. The crew is diverse and layered. 7 of 9, a liberated Borg drone, quickly became one of Star Trek's most iconic characters, exploring themes of individuality and humanity in ways no other character had before. The show also delivered new villains, including the Hirogen Hunters and the deadly species 8472. And of course, the Borg remained a constant threat, giving Voyager some of its most thrilling episodes. While some criticize its uneven tone, Voyager deserves praise for its pioneering female captain, strong character moments, and the sense of resilience it portrayed. Why watch? For fans who love exploration and survival stories, Voyager is an inspiring odyssey across uncharted space. Enterprise only lasted 4 seasons, not 5, but many fans argue it deserved more. Since your request is specifically about 5+ seasons, we'll set this one aside. But it's worth noting that Enterprise's later seasons finally embraced serialized storytelling that could have rivaled DS9 if given more time. For Star Trek, the animated series technically 2 seasons, but a legacy show, also short-lived, but influential. Still, not eligible by the 5+ seasons rule. Let's move forward. For Star Trek, Discovery 5 seasons, 2017 to 2025. Discovery began as the first modern Trek series in the streaming era, introducing darker tones and heavy serialization. Set about a decade before Kirk, it followed Michael Burnham, a human raised by Vulcans, who finds herself at the heart of galaxy-shaking events. The show evolved dramatically over its run, jumping nearly 1,000 years into the future in Season 3, which gave it freedom to tell fresh stories beyond established canon. This leap introduced the idea of rebuilding the Federation after collapse, offering optimism rooted in resilience. While divisive for its emotional focus and darker tone, Discovery undeniably revitalized Star Trek for a new generation. Its 5th and final season concluded in 2025, officially putting it into the 5+ seasons category. Why watch? Discovery is modern, cinematic, and ambitious, perfect for viewers who want Star Trek with high stakes and serialized arcs. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.